What's the truth about your industry that nobody wants to admit?
It's not too late to start. Start building your raft on the side of the corporate cruise ship because
It's how to build the entire system, not just how to build the chunks of it. Hey, Weirdo, welcome back. Today's guest is Joe Zeplin, a content creator, entrepreneur, and small business growth strategist whose story sits right at the intersections of corporate success, creative reinvention, and the future of online visibility. Joe came up through a highly structured business world, building experiences in operations, leadership, and performance systems before leaning fully into content creation, digital tools, and helping small businesses grow online. What makes Joe especially interesting is that he does not only come from a world like the typical marketer, he thinks like an operator. He talks about systems, leverage, workflows, and what it really takes to turn content from something random and exhausting into something repeatable and useful. On his public platforms, he has focused on helping small businesses, creators, and entrepreneurs use practical digital tools to grow on social media, simplify execution, and stay relevant in a world that is changing very fast. In our conversation, we get into Joe's journey from what he calls the corporate cruise ship to entrepreneurship and what he has learned about the content creation as a real business engine, why so many small businesses still misunderstand online discoverability, and how AI search, repurposing, and digital authority are reshaping the way people are found. If you have ever wondered how to build an online presence without becoming fake, scattered, or shallowed by the algorithm, this is going to be a real valued conversation. Joe, welcome to the show.
Cody, I'm super excited and thanks for the kind words.
No worries. I appreciate the pre-talk because it gave me a lot of insight into how I wanted to kind of go about this. But I do have to ask you, I ask all of my guests one question to start off. What's the truth about your industry that nobody wants to admit?
I think there's a balance between believing that it's never too late to start and actually finding success in that. Because I think that people want to be creative in their own element. And whether that was writing or creating content or whatever you and I end up doing next, if someone wants to start doing that, it's not too late to start. They should, but they probably shouldn't be doing the structures and processes from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or even the ones of today. You got to do the ones today and quickly learn of the ones tomorrow because it's all what grabs probably the user's attention. And I would imagine that, of course, there's some nostalgia from older times, but the new algorithms they're good at showing people what is they're likely to watch today. And so I don't think it's late to start, but I think that you wouldn't start with the typewriter right now if you were inventing a new keyboard, right?
Fair. I actually just recently watched a video that stated that the QWERTY keyboard is actually the least efficient way to use the English language on a computer because of how it's set up. So it's interesting that you got into that. So to your point about being creative, I never thought I was a creative person. I was a coder. And then I realized that coding is the ultimate creation for computers. Throughout my career, I'm like, oh, this is how I'm creative. I'm just more structurally creative in understanding these things as opposed to your typical artist creative that had out there. So I do like that you're putting creative in a sense that it's not just related to a single field, it's related to everything you do. Humans are creative by default.
Yeah, and people are creative in different ways too. You and I can talk about 1,000 things. I think we started in the same area, right? I started with Power BI videos. How can you do simple coding stuff? And it would take 2 weeks to build a dashboard. And then a tool would come out that teaches you how to find errors in your code. And now it takes 2 hours. And now you just speak it and those things are made. So it's just what you and I were really trying to, at least from my side, I was trying to solve an issue and make the process. That was my creative thing. Everyone wanted to solve the same thing. How you did it was how I was creative, and coding allowed you to do that. Were you trying to solve an issue when you were trying to express your creativity?
Always. I think my default is to find the solution. Everything I do, my default mentality is problem. Okay, here's how we fix it. That's just my brain. And my partner actually gets furious about that because it's like you talk to your partner and you're like, oh, I had a bad day at work today. And it's like, I just want you to listen, not solve my problems.
I've had that conversation too. I think I always thought that was relationship on the one side was like, hey, the goal is to listen, and corporate, the goal is to solve. I think they both ended up being listening and then solving based on the listening. And that's how it is with your audience too. Like your audience will tell you what they want, right? Like,
I wish I had more of my audience telling me what I want,
yeah, me
what they
too.
want. So let's get into your corporate cruise ship analogy. Can you explain that, how you got to that analogy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know how old you are, Cody, but I'm 28. So I I think, grew up in the time where my parents were always saying, hey, you got to be good at sports so you can get into a right school because we didn't have money to get into like the right schools, right? And then you got to get good grades so you can get a scholarship, right? It was always like, where are you going after high school? What are you doing? And how can you best get that piece of paper that shows someone that you're valuable in whatever means that is, right? Whether that's certification, trade school, whatever. That was push, push, push. And so I have always been competitive. I went that route and I grew up in Pennsylvania, pretty small town. Do you know Lancaster, where the Amish country is?
Yep, I've actually drove through it while traveling to Florida a few times when I was younger.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, most people don't drive through Lancaster, but I guess Canadians, right? You got to come through, right? So we were in Harrisburg, which is pretty close to Lancaster. My stepdad's from Lancaster, so I had this one part of me that was all about having a farm on all four sides of us, and the other side being so interested in tech. So I think those grounded roots for my family was like, hey, go the route that you're supposed to go. But I was always wondering what else was out there, right?
Mhm.
And so I moved to South Carolina. That was my big, I'm going to escape and go figure it out on my own, like screw home. You know, people have those stages. Went there for 4 years, met my lovely soon to be fiance, Alexis. She's upstairs right now. And then went and graduated and joined the corporate world. So I joined one of those roles that I got 3 degrees in school. I was valedictorian of the operations and supply chain class. I did it all in 4 years. I knew what I was going to do. I was a hot plug and play person for these big corporations, like a project manager. A lot of people, I think, in their low 20s to 30s grew up where they had to learn computers in school. Like, did you have a typing class? We had a typing class.
We had a programming class.
Yeah, even better, right? So you had something where you learned that. So you join a workforce where the predominant amount of people are not as good on a computer as you, but they're way more wise than you. So in that industry, so you go through and you learn from those people. So I did that I graduated in 2020. I did that till 2025, but I always felt like I didn't have full control over my trajectory. So I worked in one of those jobs where they told me where I was moving, and no joke, every 8 months I moved to a new city and I would work in manufacturing plants and do an industrial engineer type role. How do I fix processes? But on the whole time, I wanted to do my own thing. I couldn't stand, I felt like I was working for dinosaur like companies that didn't see the tech of tomorrow. And so I would be creating dashboards and putting up TV screens and all these crazy things. They'd be like, what are you doing? And then after I started working, they let me do what I was interested in. And I realized that I had something here.
You got very lucky because I did actually start in a dinosaur career at the government. If you ever know anything about the government, it is 20 years behind in technology. Mm-hmm. So here's me being fresh out of computer programming school. Also, to give a little bit of context, I only went to college to get the diploma. I only needed that piece of paper. I already knew more than the teachers were teaching me. I was coding since I was 16 years old. I needed that piece of paper to say to everybody else that I could do it. So I basically just flew through school not doing anything and passing with flying colors. I got into the Ministry of Transportation, which is so dinosaur. There's still things on paper today in 2026. Getting anything done has so many layers of approval that nothing gets done within a year, let alone 2 days or a couple hours when you need it. So I completely understand going to the dinosaur approach of things and being like, why can't we just do things? Why do we have to have all of these things? And it's like, you get told because it's always been that way. And that line pissed me off more than anything else in the world, especially when my tax dollars are going towards it.
I have a funny story, Cody, about the always been that way. So I used to tell people that in the business, I'll use an analogy, but me and my mom are trying to put the Christmas ham in the oven, and we go through and we cut off all the skin. And I go, Mom, why do you cut off all the skin? She goes, well, your grandmother, she cuts all the skin of the Christmas ham. So we drive to grandma's house later that day. She's putting the ham in the oven. What does she do? All the skin's off the ham, right? Go, why do you do that? Well, my mother, your great grandmother always did it that way. So we drive to her house and she's putting it in the thing. She's putting the ham in the oven. She goes to put it in and it fits perfectly. We go, Grams, why do you cut the ham off the skin off the ham? She goes, oh, well, the oven's too small. I can't fit the ham in all the way. unless I trim the hand down a little bit. But for years, then you continue to do that. I think that is, especially in things that have the greater the regulation, whether it's educational systems, government, whatever, the slower its ability to adapt. And now people are all doing their own things and they're able to build with their mind and speaking to something so quickly that it intimidates me a little bit, but it also makes me super excited.
I really, really love the hope that's coming out of today's technology because 3 years ago, when ChatGPT, just before ChatGPT was coming out, I was so depressed at how the world was going because everything you wanted to do or try and build needed either monetary value, you needed 100 people to do, or you needed to spend hours out of your or days out of your week to get it done on your own. I was always exhausted by the time I was done my work. Nowadays, I'm getting yelled at because I'm talking too much on Twitter, but meanwhile, I'm building 3 applications in the background while I'm doing this. That's unheard of before 2023, right? These are the things that I'm so hopeful for because I think we're actually getting to the point where information is going to flow at the rate of conversation eventually. So essentially, our governments have to figure out how we go from talking about it as a niche concept to then applying it to everybody on the planet. It gives me hope because I think the governments are going to realize that they have no control and they have to let go of the reins a little bit.
Yeah, it's especially in content creation, like when, and I make tech tutorial videos, right? When there's a new tool, I always thought, what's the easiest way to solve that how to, right? That we were talking about. And now I realize that I have been firsthand experiencing it through the duration of time that it takes the user to create their own thing because I'm trying to teach them how to do it. Where like the tutorials are becoming so quick because the ability to solve the how to is becoming so much easier. And when it becomes so much easier, people also want to be able to be one of the first people to share that with an audience. So then the newest things are being exactly what you said. The newest inventions are being spoken about before they launch, right when they launch, and sometimes live when they launch. And then people are trying to learn it quickest. But it is a cool thing that is being shared rapidly because sometimes there's a lot of negative things that are shared so rapidly. Something that enables you to be more creative is like a passion project. That's a fun one to me, man.
To give you that, I have an app coming out in 2 weeks. I don't know when this airs, but when it comes out, I'll be promoting it like hell because it's something new, something that wasn't in the app store. I just came out of it from my brain and I'm like, I want this. So I built it. These are the things that are going to come up all over the internet in the next couple of years. And we're still only, I think, about 3% of the planet is using these tools.
Does that worry you? Because I keep telling my partner Alexis, she could not be more the opposite tech-wise. We have a compost bin. She wants farm animals. We do not talk about the same things, and that's what makes us work, right? But I feel like I have access to a genius on my computer now that I'm training to think in a way that I'm thinking, and I'm continuing to reinforce that and like truly train it. And when I talk to people, no one knows it exists, and it makes my heart race. Right? Like, do you feel any of that? Because of course, like you and I are talking about the same thing, but I don't talk to a lot of the weird Canadians, right?
Yeah. And to be fair, yeah, it's not a conversation I get to have very often with regular people. I try and bring it up as little as possible, more so in how it solves problems and how instead of how it works to people, because I find that it's easier to explain a results driven outcome than it is to actually the process of what's going on. There's not a whole lot of conversation going on just digital literacy around these things, how they work, how they operate. I'm worried that we're going to have a lot of young people opting out of using them purely because of fear. Actually, I just had a conversation on X the other day. I've been making music with AI. So I've been writing lyrics for my entire life. I've never been able to put them into song. Now that AI allows me to do that, I've been posting music video after music video, everything that I can out of my head. I had a conversation with somebody who's Gen Z, around 22 years old, and they said, you need to stop posting this stuff because AI is ruining human music. And I'm like, I don't understand how you're getting to this because first off, I wrote the lyrics and I tuned the song to how I prefer it. My preference went into the AI. My own ideas went into the AI. How is it not my creation? That kind of thing. And then the other side to it is it's not going to destroy what you make. Why are you worried that I'm making something that has nothing to do with you, but somehow you're perceiving it as it's destroying your stuff? And I don't understand that duality of, because it exists, my stuff is going to die.
Yeah, man. We'll take it back, take the same example back to what the tech boost would be in the music industry before that. People only played live and then people recorded and then things went over the radio. There's probably people saying like, I only want to see this artist live. What do you mean? That doesn't even, they don't get the passion correctly, like the recorded one. And then there's other people who say, but I always want to listen to that song, right? So people find value in different ways. I love a lot of the AI music. When I code, man, all my stuff is like, and then it's so soothing that I end up realizing that it might be saying the same 40 words just over and over. And it's just like, I'm just in a trance. But that's what I gravitate to. So that's what I should be able to experience. If someone wants to gravitate towards something else, they should be able to gravitate towards that thing too.
Yeah, and it's just a preference thing that I think people need to get past. I think there's also a lot of misinformation on AI out there. So one of the biggest concerns that I hear all the time is it's taking all of the water. That whole water thing that Sam Altman came out with like 2 years ago, that ChatGPT was using too much water. So yeah, a couple of years ago, Sam Altman came out and said, you need to stop using please and thank you to our chatbots because it's using too much water to process your requests. Somehow that spiraled into a whole narrative that AI uses more water than electricity, and somehow it's going to use all of the water on our planet, and we're not going to have drinkable water. We're not going to have all these things. And I'm like, guys, first off, water doesn't work that way. We live in a closed system. Water evaporates from heat, turns into water vapor. Then it goes up into the atmosphere where it condenses and falls back down as rain. It doesn't disappear from the planet. And then there's the whole, just because a tech guy seems to think it's this way doesn't mean it is this way. There's a whole narrative being played out right now that I think are scaring too many people. And it's just stopping people from even trying things. That's kind of my biggest concern. Is you have to see, you cannot tell me that you don't like AI if you don't use it.
Well, it's the same thing with when the internet came out. And this is the most common, easy to explain explanation to my parents, for instance, right? When I'm explaining, and everyone's down for what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. And it's not working yet, but I'm trying, man. You're always trying to make it work. But if a business existed and the internet came out and they said, I'm not for that. That's too new for me. I'm not going to use the internet. That's fine, but they might have a less likelihood of succeeding, which is true. Okay, so then do you want to pursue something that you dislike if it allows you to succeed more? Well, then you should actually expose yourself to it and try to see if there are elements that you do like. And then you could like them and they can help you succeed more. Because I think the internet and AI is both good and bad actors. It just emphasizes your passion or your anger in whatever you're pursuing. Like, then there's a whole new market, man, for people teaching this stuff. I was just thinking in person. I was playing pool the other day. I was talking to people who they fix the windshields when your windshield's wet. They go, Joe, how do I show up on Google? And I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to be talking about different things because there are going to be companies who've already done everything right along the way. And now they're using these new things on the front end. I just don't think they're going to be able to compete.
So for
I view
that
everything
customer,
from a business mindset, unfortunately, because that's been my bread and butter my whole life. I look at how do you make your passion financial so it can actually work for you. So that's my one downside is I don't look at a lot of the other angles that are probably possible.
and my one downside is I know nothing about business and don't know any of this. So, but to your point, that one customer, I just had a guest on here called, his name is Joe Toscano. He was actually in the documentary, The Social Dilemma. He used to work for Google. He has a website now called Service Stories, which essentially turns your business into content that, like, basically you feed it your documents and stuff, and then it'll create content to keep you relevant on the internet. So that's a good business to showcase out there for people who don't want to be online but still want to get out there and get content made for them.
Oh yeah, dude, and there's the Social Dilemma is awesome, by the way. I have forced people to watch that with me because I'm like, because I don't have any social media on my phone. There's educational, when you look at social media, there's educational, promotional, and instructional. I try to do the instructional and educational. I hate entertainment is the third one. I hate a lot of the entertainment stuff because that's the one closest tied to doom scrolling, and I'm all about what I can accomplish in the day, right? So I didn't like having that. So I made people watch it. That's an awesome documentary. That thing's so sick. But I agree that there are a lot of post scheduling. That's what I went down a bunch of different business niches and I create content. So I said, how can I create content better? The same way you did. How can I build this app? And I would say 25% of my videos out of 200 are on post schedulers, right? Because it's what people are doing nowadays. And like which ones are free, which ones are paid, stuff like that.
Very fair. And I do want to talk about the social dilemma a little bit, because this is something I've been actively working on. I'm actually writing a book about this now. That's the other thing. I'm now a podcaster, entrepreneur. I own 3 businesses. I make music. I'm writing a book. I've just extended myself. TV shows coming soon.
There you go.
I'm waiting for AI to get good enough so that I can. It's not to my level to be able to create this properly, but I know it's coming. So I've got them saved up here waiting for them to be posted out. But yeah, I'm going full media. This eventually is going to turn into a media company. That's the ultimate goal here, is to protect the creative, get out the best storytelling, and just trying to protect those people, because I hate Hollywood. Hollywood's kind of ruined a lot of things for me. And I talk about that in the book as well. Essentially, the social dilemma brought about a good insight into how these companies have been using AI against you for years, right? So AI has been out since 2013. For most people don't understand that. They've only had it on behind the scenes in the enterprise world. So your social medias are all running on AI. They have been since 2013. They have been using that against you to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and optimizing it so that you just infinitely scroll.
Yeah.
The nice part is the AI is now a two-facing mirror. The same algorithms that run on those social medias, you're running in an AI, and you can actually ask the questions that you couldn't ask your algorithm. Why do I think this way? How can you break down this argument so that I can figure out all of my missing understandings on it? You can look at it in terms of where are my biases? Can you showcase those? You are actually able to diagnose and understand where your skills are missing, where your knowledge is missing, where you're biased, where you're not understanding things. These are all things that you couldn't do before and that were being used against you. Now you have the full authority to say, oh, now I understand how this is going to work. I'm going to optimize my algorithm on these socials to start working for me instead. It is the most powerful tool that I have seen in human creation. And don't get that wrong, because people are like, we've had better inventions. Everything is a culmination up to AI. As far as I'm concerned, humans have been trying to aggregate data to get it faster and faster since the beginning of time. We've just now made it so fast that it's instant. It's something that I think people don't understand and are trying to, it flips the game on the head. And I think that's why the narrative is fear right now. It literally flips how the internet has worked for the past 10 years on its head. And I think everybody's afraid of that.
Dude, there's literally chills. You're good, right? And
did you freeze or did I stump you? No worries. Yeah, it's just flipping the internet on its head. So we're just looking at how to do things. I kind of want to ask though. I've been hearing a lot lately in terms of attention media. I've been hearing Gary Vee specifically say we're getting away from attention media into interest media.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Dude, I literally, not a promotion, just read Gary Vee's book. So what I do I put the latest book that I read right here. And then it gets brought up and I talk about it. But Gary Vee wrote Crush It, and then he wrote Crushing It. And Crushing It, have you read either of those?
No, I just follow him. I listen to a lot of his podcasts. I have no time to read. That's my problem.
Dude, it's a short book. It's incredibly inspirational, but it's from a bunch of other content creators that are saying their success stories. So when you first start, it really helps because you're depressed and not sure if it's going to work. And you're like, it's a lot of highs and lows and you go back and forth. But so social media versus interest media, my understanding of it from the way he shares it, and then I'll give my understanding too, is what gets shown to the user. So what's social? When you say, are you social? It's like, how do you interact with people? Do I follow you? Do you follow me? Do we talk about the same things? Before, in the early days of Facebook, right? You used to only see on your feed in time order that it came out, who you followed or what you followed, either businesses, companies, articles, or friends and family, mostly friends and family. Now people see on their phone all the time things that from people they don't follow at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is because the algorithms have learned what you're interested in. And that's why he's saying we're not in the social game, we're in the interest game. That's why hashtags used to be so big, right? Because if someone didn't follow you, how you got identified was putting a hashtag, and that was kind of like adding a topic, and then people could
Mm-hmm.
click the hashtag and see all of those. Now, the algorithms are smart enough that naturally they're going to show you the things that they believe that you're interested in, and that depending on the platform is going to keep you on the platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's my understanding of it. But then you're like, okay, if I make something interesting, I think the mistake people make is they go, hey, how can I compete with what gets the most views? And they try to make something that is the not 100% them, but in the same category as them. And it shows in the way I did it too when I first started. It shows in the way that you pronounce your speech and what you're talking about and the level of passion and emphasis you put into it. What I found is personally is if you just genuinely be unforgivably you, eventually your audience will find you. And you can do things with SEO and you can do things with thumbnails and you can do whatever. But the biggest thing you can do is be yourself in your videos to the most extent, because then your self is often the thing that's going to remain the most consistent or evolve slowly. Where your strategies on thumbnails or whatever, that stuff can change all the time. I don't know if you see that at all, but I personally have been changing my content from being how can I provide the most value in the least amount of time to partnering that with also showing my personality and humor and laughing and stuff like that. And it makes it more fun for me too.
I'm going to send you my manuscript after this because I think it's really funny how you talked about this. I actually didn't start my YouTube channel to chase an algorithm or chase anything like that. My intention was to get out some information to start out with and kind of learn on my own. It's funny that you talk about me just being or you being yourself on your channel, because case in point, I have no clue what I'm doing and somehow I'm doing well in terms of the metrics anyways. I have no clue. And I just show up every day. I want to learn about you. I want to understand what you're doing. I want to understand what's going on. And somehow that's resonating with people. I'm the weird Canadian. I'm sure people love the name and just resonate with things I say or don't say. I've always tried to follow my own interest over anything else, because this isn't for you or for the audience. I want to say this right out loud. I don't make my videos for the audience. I make them for me. I make them want to have these conversations. And I know that people might want to hear this later on, or this is good information that could be sourced somewhere else or looked up on the internet. These conversations, I think, are going to be, well, I actually already know, are becoming more and more pronounced on the internet. We're seeing right now short form is actually dying, going more to long form and live. I don't think people can do the same things they used to do. You can't just put on a performance and expect it to go everywhere anymore. Is that what's happening nowadays? Is just people are understanding that it's not all about what you say, it's just who you are?
I think, is that the truth? Yes. Is that what people are finding out? I think some people probably have known that for a while, right? And then some people are moving with, I tend to be in the herd movement, right? I love it depends on the industry, right? But I probably tend to be on the front half of the herd movement. But I have a question for you. So you said I love that you make videos for you. That's awesome, right? When I think about it, I'm like, I love the creative process. So I love being creative for me, but I make videos for the audience. All my stuff started with how to blank, how to build a business card, how to make your first QR code, how to whatever, right?
Yep.
And so, but we also both said that we agree on, so we're different there, but we also both said we agree on that we were both trying to solve something. So what were you trying to solve that has led you to say, I'm going to just use this as an outlet, essentially?
This is going to sound really bad, but the media narrative. I am very pissed off at how the world has taken the internet and made it a de facto reality. This is why I'm sending you my manuscript. It literally goes into this entire understanding that I've come to. For the past 15 years, we have essentially become, we bled the internet into reality, meaning you can now be in trouble for what you post online. What you post online is now stuck with you for your entire life. You can't get away from it, and people are using it maliciously. And on top of that, there's a whole narrative that gets played out. And what happens is those people who have gotten ruined or have had to deal with the repercussions of online in their real life is our laws and things have kind of clamped around that and said the internet is now reality. What you said when you were 14 is now applying to you at 34. That's my age, by the way, right? These things that you've been posting online, regardless of how you were, who you were at the time, is now set in stone, and we're going to persecute you on it. And I'm not talking government, although the Canadian government is now pushing towards this. But individuals, private companies, these types of things have been pushing that these people are bad, blah, 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 blah. I was so pissed off that I just wanted to go to the source. So my whole thing with my channel is I just want to go to the source, talk to the people who are actually making these things happen, doing these things that are being, what's the term? Fear-mongered.
Yeah.
And just talk to them as a human being to get their understanding. A lot of our understanding of how people operate comes through nuance. Having these nuanced conversations where we're just breaking it down as people, we're talking as just two individuals, that nuance gives a little bit more context to who the person is, what they understand, how they see things. And that adds a lot of context to their previous conversations, why they said these things. I bring it back to the Kevin Hart debacle with the Oscars. His only goal in life at that time was to host the Oscars, and he got the chance to, but that was ruined because of a tweet like 10 years before that he already apologized for. But he lost his dream because of it. And I'm basically saying I'm sick of that narrative. If you have an issue, I want to talk to you about it. I want to understand from your perspective about it, because I'm sick of people just thinking they know how other people operate. I want to bring that humanity back to the internet. And that also goes into my understanding of, I have this another concept that the internet is missing humanity. It's missing a section of our understanding, our love, our emotions that we have never put on the internet, because it's always been this place where we can have our deepest, darkest thoughts out there without any repercussions. So I want to fill the internet with more understanding, more love, more hope, more nuanced conversations that are going to shape how the AI understands how a human operates, as opposed to how it thinks we operate right now.
And how the humans understand how other humans operate, right? It's what you said is very courageous, right? Because it's a way of, especially people in our space who are putting things out online regularly and frequently and have a passion project, that you're giving them a voice when things are being said about the industry that's get casted over a bunch of individuals who may or may not fit that narrative at all, right? And so that's really influential. And then the other thing that really resonated with me that you said is, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I experienced this Saturday. Saturday is the day that I go into the creativity bubble, right? Every fun thing, I try to do fun things every day, right? I read this morning, I did yoga, I walked the dog, have a coffee, now I'm talking to Cody. That's a great morning, right? But I went through and tried to train Claude on my persona. And I essentially said, print me out a 10-page document about my business and what I could do, after I already taught it a lot. And then I started feeding it, and it was telling me what it learned about. I started feeding it my transcripts, and it started pointing out things about the way it thinks my personality is based on words that I said in a specific order. And they are things that were 100% true, and some things were 100% true that my other friends have described for me, but that was 20% of it. 80% of it was 100% true, and I knew it is true, and I thought that's the way everyone thought, and everyone doesn't think that way. So I think when you post things online, the 80% of your brain that no one else has access to, or it's probably more 99%, right? No one knows the reasoning behind how you got to those words. And all that gets lost because it's so hard to get from what's in my brain into your brain. And we use these simple sounds to try to best do it. I think we're only getting a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. between our thoughts. And so when you put your thoughts to paper, that's when, man, it's the complete opposite of long form content like this. And there's probably some future invention that is like, this is ends up being what paper is. And there's something more where you and I can fully understand each other. But I think that is a huge, I think that's the biggest gap in entertainment, quick media.
It comes back to my understanding of law and things like that. This is something that I think has been glossed over in law nowadays. There used to be a phrase that intent was 9/10 of the law, which meant that your intent to an action was more relevant than the action itself. And somewhere along that line, intent got thrown out the window. And now it's just whatever you do, it is bad.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm just trying to bring back the
someone else's intent, right?
That's what the court system was for, right? You bring on a jury of your peers to discuss and have these long form conversations about what your intent was. Yeah, somewhere I just want to bring intent back because even when I post things, like I'm a little bit of a troll, and I'll tell you, hey, I was trolling there, or hey, I was in a bad headspace. But people don't know that when you're posting these things, and if all they see is that written word. And on top of that, that written word can be taken in whatever context they want it in. Yeah. So sometimes they don't even read it. Half the time I'm having a conversation, so I'm like, did you even read the words on my page? Because it's like they come up with a whole new concept that I wasn't even talking about. And I think that's a lot of missing information on the internet, which is why I started this.
Yeah, just long form content is where it's at. And you learn more about the person that way.
I'm really hoping to get big enough so that I could talk to some of the bigger people, because there's a guy, Dimitri. He works in the AI space, and he's the doomer right now. He's the one saying AI is going to destroy the world. And I really want to bring him on just because I want to understand how he's come to that conclusion more than anything else. I'm pretty sure, because this is also something I think I brought up in our pre-talk. I see LLMs as a mirror to yourself. So whatever you're putting into it, it's going to feed you back out. So if you're a doomer into it, a doomer is going to come out.
Yeah.
So I want to pick at these people's brains just to understand how they've got to these big concepts that they're throwing out to the world, just to give a little bit more humility to the understanding.
Yeah, well, we're only seeing the headlines too, right? And I think depending on the chat LLM that you're interfacing with, they are the same as algorithms. They can show you what you want to see, right? So you kind of have to train it in a way of saying, I tend to go down these giant rabbit holes, which are good. They emphasize my understanding, but I'm also trying to accomplish a task. So I train mine of saying, hey, I'm going to go down these rabbit holes and we're going to do this. But after a certain point, please remind me about the next step in our framework so that I can get back up. And it does that. But if someone doesn't prompt that and they keep going down a positive or negative rabbit hole, it would change their general understanding, right?
It kind of goes to critical thinking and lack thereof. This is something I've been also pissed off about. Nobody critically thinks anymore. Nobody can actually see a piece of information and then go source out the other side of that piece of information to then make their own conclusion. It's like, I'm just going to agree because this person has said this. I get really sick of people I know people are bad. I completely understand that these could be horrible people, but that does not mean you cannot learn something from them. Yeah. You can't just dismiss people because you don't like them. That's a big part of our world right now, is we're dismissing a lot of people without actually understanding where they're coming from, what they do, what their knowledge base is. I blame that more on politics than anything else, but we should probably get back into a little bit more of the YouTube stuff.
That's the framework. That's you and I going down and be like, hey, we got to bring it back up.
So for small business owners, how is this beneficial to them? How needed is creating an online presence and becoming something nowadays?
Yeah, so a lot of businesses, I would establish whether or not you're able to receive foot traffic at all. The answer is no. It's minimal. It's a fraction. That online presence is a must, right? Not a good to have. And then even if you get foot traffic, it is a must. But it genuinely, the people if you're not going to walk past a coffee shop to go find your business, right? And be right next to the coffee shop, how are people going to find you, right? So just very, very simply put. And then the first step people normally do is they make their social media profiles, right? They make a Facebook page, they make an Instagram page, they make a TikTok, and then they start putting out some content. Some people post a photo of what they make, they put a little promotional thing, and Sometimes they hire their niece or nephew to go through and say, oh, make me a cool video of me washing cars. Those things are all good. Put out as much
I,
content as you can.
just to give a little bit of context, I'm also a tourism coordinator, and we're hiring a student to do this for me.
Exactly, right? Like, and I put out 200 videos initially just having a team of myself, right? Because I use softwares to these, but the softwares take a little bit of understanding. So I'm just going very basic what you could do because you have to do it by hand first to then see how much time it takes to then, we were talking about this, to then see the beneficial part of it, automating it. So I think a couple things. One is anything else, the more data points you have, the better. And I maybe people who are on the verge of posting but aren't posting are really wondering what the best post would be. How do I tell my origin story? How do I go through and tell people what I do? The odds are that very few people are going to see your stuff when you first put it out. Also, the odds are that the algorithm doesn't know who you are. So the algorithm doesn't know who you are, so it's not showing it to people. And you're still finding out the type of content that you put out. The best thing to do is put out as many photos, videos, menu items, whatever, videos of you doing your craft over and over and over again. So one, you can learn what more about your business and your online presence. And then you can also get data points on what performs online, what doesn't perform, what is a very small audience, but a lot of comments, whatever. Right. So that kind of will teach you manually to say, I'm going to post. And then it also teaches you how long does it take to do all those type of things. And then once you do it, I used Metricool when I first started. Metricool is a free tool. I used it back when I was in Florida, so in 2022. And I would post in Metricool and it would go on Facebook, Instagram. It's like a third-party tool. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It would go across the board. And I still use post schedulers. I like them. But I think more content, the better, so that the algorithm can start to learn about you. Now, I know that's very broad. What do you post then is then the next question, right? I would imagine. Yep. And then if you're a business and you do products or services, if you do products, post your products, talk about your products, say why you got into business in the first place, be vulnerable, show yourself. And if you do services, show you doing the craft. We all get obsessed with videos of people mowing lawns or those cool little visually appealing things. Show it, right? Yep. And people get it, like you said, the more content, the greater understanding people have of you, right? And obviously I'm passionate about this type of stuff, man. So I'll stop me whenever. I can go on forever.
Oh, no. And in terms of even me, I suck at holding a camera and going and doing things. I can have these conversations on the fly. The reason we're hiring a social media person or a student to do my social media is because I forget to bring out the phone when I'm having these conversations. Even just having somebody by your side with a camera following you through the day will give you so much content. It's ridiculous.
How do you find someone to do this? I've been thinking the same thing. How do you get someone to do that? Or where do you put that out?
So there's a few different sites. It's hard because you really have to find somebody local. Yeah. Because I'm in a small town, we have access to like programs. So I have like a summer student program I have access to that I can hire on a student and the government pays for it. But for the most part, go to your local schools and find people who just ask them if you could like put up a poster that says, I'm looking for somebody who wants to make social media their business. I need somebody to do this, and this for me. In exchange, you can learn these things from me. Make it a transactional thing. Even when I go, so I've hired a company that does interns as well. So they've provided me an intern for 4 months out of the year. And I get four for the year. And that intern can go and help me do all of the stuff I don't understand. There's programs out there just to do that. And then you find the people that actually understand, the people who are good. So when I was in the Ministry of Transportation, I got my job through a co-op. And that really showcased how somebody who has no experience can level the playing field for the people who have too much experience and don't know what they're doing, like at a higher level. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. The people who know it at a higher level don't always understand how to do it at the ground level of today, right? Those fresh eyes, those people who are learning the algorithms, learning the things as they grow up. I didn't do social media when I was a kid. I don't understand social media. Therefore, I need somebody to do social media. But it also gives you the opportunity to find somebody who's low cost, not going to take up a whole lot of your time, but aside from or not going to take up a whole lot of your money. Now I'm losing it. A little bit of time, and you just give them a little bit of experience to go on with them. A lot of the times you're going to find people you want to hire. You're going to find people who actually you want in the business. That was how I was hired in the government. I showcased that I wanted to do a job. I was brought in as a project planner. I hated project planning, but I just told my boss, I'm a programmer. If you have programs that you want built, throw me on them. And I showcased my work. It's one of the things that pisses me off about Gen Z is they're so lazy. They don't even want to go above and beyond to showcase their skills. Just showcasing what you can do gives you a leg up over the next guy. And if you could do that as an intern and you can do it cheap, if you can live off of nothing, you're currently living off of nothing, go find somebody who can help you and will pay you or not pay you or just inexperienced. You need to get that experience in order to build what you want to do in the future, but it's also a good opportunity for the businesses who don't understand these things. I will always do co-op students. I will always train people because we've come full circle in terms of schooling. Schooling no longer serves the purpose of what it originally intended to do, which was educate you to be able to do your job. There is no more schooling that can teach you how to do AI. There's no more schooling that can teach you how to code. All of that is do it or don't. And you're going to find out by learning it, going through with people who've done it before, you're going to gain a lot more skills than you ever do in school. I hate to say that college is irrelevant nowadays, but it really is. The only reason college exists nowadays is for you to go get that piece of paper and go figure out who you are as a human being.
Dude, I love everything you just shared. Can we go down the college rabbit hole just a little bit?
Yep, go right.
Because I recently wrote an article about this because I have so many siblings. I'm right in the middle. There's 9 of us, right? I have 4 step siblings, 3 full siblings, 1 half sibling. There's a lot of us, right? And I'm smack dab in the middle. So I've been able to see the route that we're all going down, right? And it's like it's a bunch, we keep saying, a bunch of different data points. College, first off, I don't want to just not pass. I don't want to just pass over that. It's also very humane to have people who train you and apprentices, right? There's something really rewarding about that. I started in a rotational program too, where every 8 months I moved and I had a different mentor. And I like to say it expedites your learning curve. You learn 10 years worth of stuff in 2 years, right? And it feels good, and there's a lot of good collaboration there. The college thing, I was talking to my stepdad. We were driving to the airport. I just went home for Easter, and we were talking about everything. We were talking about politics, war, education. We ended up talking about education for a while. And one of the things that we talked about was that we were talking about interest media today. And interest media shows you exactly what you want to see. On this phone, I'm going to pull it up and it's going to show me exactly what I want. And we were talking about kids in school getting bored. Like you said yourself, like you went to code, you had other interests, right? There's like in college or in grade school, there's required courses. Like why in college is there 4 years instead of 2 years, and you have to take 2 years of gen eds? But even for those younger kids who are still developing, they might have to sit through something that not only did people not 20 years ago, or people did 10 years ago, but the kids of 20 years ago might have driven in the car home and looked out the window for 40 minutes. And then the kids of 10 years ago might have done that and played on their Game Boy for 5 of those minutes until it died.
Well, the light goes by and trying to like see the pixels on the screen with your black and white Game Boy.
Right? And doing whatever you can, right? Put it under a blanket. You gotta do your thing. PlayStation Portable, same thing. Those things are awesome, but the battery died so quickly. And then the kids of today, they have something that fully understands what they want at their fingertips for whatever duration of time that they're able to be on it. And the educational system is competing with that. So the gap becomes larger, right? And then, so how did people used to get information? I don't know. You used to be telling information around the campfire, right? Where you just came back from your hunt and it was through voice. And then printing press people started writing things down. Then people started copying the books that people were writing down. So, but you still only got to learn from the point of the person whose words were on the paper. Then the printing press, same thing. They all get dispersed. And then you go to college to you went to college to break down these materials and get someone's opinion who is able to, you ask your questions and they answer your questions, and they ask questions and you answer questions. And you learn through this exchange of the professor understanding how you learn and you learning how the professor speaks. So the biggest thing was taking transcripted word and having that two-way street. Now these tools can teach me the way I want to be taught. The algorithm, the chatbots, I use Claude like there's no tomorrow. That's my big one now. It has learned how I like to receive information. So what happens then when you can learn whatever you want in the way you want to read it? And then there's the whole thing of going into debt and getting student loans. We've done, right? And oh my gosh, it frustrates the crap out of me. And then the last part about it is we said at the beginning that regulatory systems move slower than tech always. And so that gap doesn't shrink unless you have a big jump. And then that ends me getting to where you just shared, which is how can you then show your value? Because before you showed that you were willing to go through the trenches and here's my piece of paper that gets me through the trenches, right? Now, if you show that you can provide value at any rate or for free, that's what content creation is. You put out stuff for free, then you can kind of say, here's what I do, not here's what I've done. Because if you're currently doing it, it also shows that maybe your passion's in it. So there's just so many reasons to start creating a presence today than hoping that the system that moves slower than tech is going to be the system that allows you to win. Winning is showing up each day, pursuing your passions at all costs and seeing what comes out of that. That's been so long. I'm stoked about that whole change going on right now.
I've actually watched a few videos. There's some new schools in the US that are only doing like 2-hour school days where the AI teaches the base information that you need to know. And then the rest of the day is spent with the humans learning how to do random things, laundry, or how to relax, how to do your finance, things that aren't necessarily needed AI to teach. We're always going to need a basis of understanding. You're going to need to understand language. You're going to need to understand math. You're going to need to understand science, the basics of everything. I would even throw coding in there. To me, coding breaks down the entire world on a level that people, I don't think, fully understand. Coding to me has decoded more of the world around me than anything I've read or done online or things like that. Coding gave me a very specific way of interpreting how everything works. So I think that's something that should be taught. But in terms of actual education, what do you need to know? How to do your finances, how to make food, how to do your laundry, how to live alone. These are the things you need to know. Everything else is something that is gained. You can just go in and try. And if you fail, there's somebody there to help you. We're going to a world where we're also going to have robots sitting beside us. And if we do something and it's wrong, they're going to be there to protect us. This is the world we're getting into, and we need to stop thinking that there's not always going to be somebody having your best interest in mind, I think is the biggest thing. We were always set up to be independent and not need others to help us function. We are literally going to a world where we're going to have others to help us function on a day-to-day basis. How that medium is, I have no clue. I just saw a video, Figure, the robot company says in 2 years, robots will be in every household. At that point, who's going to teach you? The robot. How do I build this shack? Well, the robot's going to help you build a shack or do it for you. You really need to prioritize what you want to do, because there is that level of, hey, I want to learn this myself. And I think people need to understand that you don't always want to outsource your work. You don't want to outsource your skills because you need to learn them in order to figure out if it's good or not. One of the funnest things I do is challenging my AI in fields that I know. So I will give it as much information as possible, get it to write a report, and then I will poke holes in it because I know more knowledge about it than it does. You really need to understand how your subject functions. You need to be an expert in basically everything to really find out if what something's telling you is true or not. And that just brings me back to the critical thinking. I think that's the only thing people should be learning right now is how to critically think about every piece of information given.
Yeah, well, dude, you said it exactly there. You cannot assume that the information is correct, right? So the reason people fail using large language models is they say, create me a post for these 4 platforms, make me 100 posts, and they post those posts. The large language models should get you 80% there. So you should put in your thoughts, put in a transcript, right, of you talking about a subject. You could put in your podcast. I put in my YouTube transcript, whatever people are doing. And it will get you 80% there. What are the thoughts? What are the arguments? What are the counter arguments? All those different prompts that we just spoke about. But that's your 70 to 80%. Then you go through and you read it and you give you fully like kind of tear it apart in a way of be something that you're willing to post, right?
Yeah.
And you're willing to share. And that allows you to make stuff quicker, but more importantly, it allows you to make stuff that is truly yours and stuff that is the personalities that get the most attention online are the ones who have a hill that they're willing to die on, right?
I wrote a
They're
song about that.
they're tough, right? They really push back on their one thing. Or we talk about a lot of, I'm a big tinfoil hat guy too, right? I got these things that I'm willing to talk through. The other thing is once you have your, something I just started doing is once you have your revisions, the thing that you go through and tear it apart, I load it back into it and I tell it, by the way, just so you know how I think, this is everything that I changed. And I'm hoping that if I do that enough, it's slowly going to be better at giving me my first drafts, right?
It's identifying your lack of knowledge and reinforcing it to understand that and give you more understanding where you lack it is one thing. This is why people, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, drives me nuts because people will go and ask Grok a question and they won't ask Grok in the chat anymore. They'll go out to Grok and post a screenshot. And then you look at how they've asked the question and I'm like, you're not getting the proper information because you did not phrase the question correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I can't interrogate Grok to say, hey, here's how you missed it because it's a screenshot. Just forming a question is going to get you more data than just forming the question right is going to give you more of a correct answer than how you think it's supposed to say. We do a lot of caveats in our conversation to take out words. We used to use a lot of leet speak because we had limits on how many characters we had. Leet speak's no longer a thing. And if anybody actually understands it, put a comment down below. I'd love to hear who actually remembers what leet speak is.
I don't know what leet speak is.
Oh, so do you remember T9?
T9, no.
Yeah, so when you had a flip phone, you only had the 9 digits on your phone.
Yep.
And those 9 digits aligned to the letters on the alphabet.
Yep.
So a lot of people would just substitute the number or shorten the word, lol, LFMAO, all of that came out. That's all leet speak. That all came out because we needed to shorten our text because first off, our texts were charged per word. Our texts everything used to be restricted on how much content you could post. Cool. So we shortened our speaking on the internet, which became leet speak. That's how the majority of the internet started out. That's where you got meme culture, all that fun stuff, all came from us shortening the language and making fun of it.
Isn't that crazy? That's so, yeah. I love hearing those weird little things. It's interesting to hear them on the tech side that were close enough for us to experience them.
Yeah.
You know the one about the buttons on the shirt?
Sorry?
So there's buttons on shirts, right? And if you look at the men's button, we can put ours on with our right hand because the left side goes over the front. Where the women's buttons, if you take a woman's shirt and you put it on, the right side is over top of the left. And I don't know why the women's is how the women's is, but I know the men's is because when they drew a sword, if the sheet was the other way, it cut the shirt. And I think it's because women put the buttons on the shirt or something. I don't remember why they're not both that way, but I know why they changed for men. And I was like, that's not real. So I was like, Alexis, let me see one of your shirts. I'd be damned, right? It's the opposite. Yep. So those things are so interesting.
But that's how everything kind of got created. And now we're going to a whole world where essentially conversation is going to be what's online. I'm actually thinking that we're still going to have the internet as we know it. There's still going to be text content. But I think the next transformation of social media is going to be purely audio. Well, you can look at the early days of this when meme culture was a thing. I can speak better in memes than I can speak in person. If I was having a conversation in a text thread, I could give memes for every situation. The problem is nobody understands the memes anymore because they're no longer common reference. Those are things we used to learn. And I think we're going to go back to showing visuals and explaining things through actual audio than we are to have text. Text was a really good medium to get us to this point, but now it doesn't do it justice. It misses out too many things. There's too many connotations to how that happens. Everybody has their own reality, which shapes the words on the page. When you have the audio, you can hear the inclinations, you can hear the pauses, you can hear the satirical nature of things. You're going to have a lot more structure in what's going out and how people interpret it as today. And that's why I'm like, I'm just going to go out today and I'm just going to put all of my self on the internet, because at some point I want these conversations to come back up, and I would prefer them to be the niche conversations that they are, and get all the nuanced language that I put in things. It makes us more human.
It's well said.
I just want us to get back to being human, and I see AI as a very big hope for that. I'm putting it at .com bubble area right now. So right now we're going to go, the next 2 years are going to be shit show and a half. And I apologize to everybody out there, because I'm one of the ones pushing, let's do this change. We need it right now. I apologize. I know it's going to hurt. I know it's going to be bad, but it's needed to become human again. We've turned ourselves into machines. We need to turn ourselves back into humans.
Yeah, there's going to be good and bad actors, and we are going to learn from bad situations. And it is really difficult to even grasp what the good and bad situations will be, because it is the invention of the internet, when the internet didn't exist, times way more than what we could even guess to put a number on. 100, 1,000, whatever. Of course it's going to be. I'm optimistic that over time, people and humans' our ability to adapt and change their environment is very high. And so that could help a lot of different industries, a lot of different people find themselves in their personas and stuff. I'm really hoping there's something in the communication sphere, where our gap right now is that in what means can we digitally, because digital communication gets things worldwide, can we get information from your head into my head and from my head into your head? And so then we have the text messages, right? We have social media. Then we have long form podcasts where we saw and books, and this is more conversation based and you get more. But it's still, I'm not a very good reader, right? I don't use a lot of 4-syllable words, right? My skill level to communicate to you is hindered by my ability to best share that. And I wonder if there's a better way to be doing those things. Is there something that as more of your voice gets picked up, it finds ways to communicate that to someone else in a way that is easier for them to digest than what you're currently sharing? Did you hear the sentence I just said? That shouldn't take that long. So I'm super excited for whatever that ends up to be. I just have no idea what that looks like.
It's funny you say that you're slow when it comes to reading and stuff. I'm slow when it comes to typing. So I've always been the slowest coder, because my fingers don't match my brain. I get so caught up in my brain that my fingers are so behind that I forget what I'm typing as I'm typing it. So I have to keep on reminding myself. I've just got a new tool. It's called Whisper Flow. I'm not affiliated, for anybody out there. I wish I was. This allows me to just talk into my mic and it will output that text. And then I can edit that from there. It's not perfect by any means, but it is way better than any of the tools out there. And I can use it across my entire computer, which is nice. It allows me to put a little bit more context in it. And it helps me keep my thoughts as I'm writing things. So if I'm in an argument on Twitter and I'm yelling at you, I'm actually forgetting what I'm yelling about as I'm yelling at you. Whereas I could just throw it in a microphone and hit enter and it goes. I think a lot more is going to come that way. I have a feeling we're going to have that interface of human to human. I think we're going to have telepathy eventually, where we can push intention more than actual words. I think that would go a lot to helping people's anxiety and nervousness around people, because I don't know about you, but if I go talk to somebody, the first thing I'm thinking about is, am I coming off rude? Who am I to talk to this person? There's so much in my head that doesn't need to be there. It would be nice to be like, hey, can I just have a chat? And this is what I mean by the chat, but that be an initial prompt that takes like 3 seconds, not even, to say, here's what I'm trying to do. I think we're going to get there. That's Neuralink. I'm very excited for that. I'm also very excited for the anti-aging medication that's going to be coming out soon. Medical breakthroughs. AI has literally compacted our development of drugs, our understanding of the human body, our understanding of science, our understanding of space. We are going to, in the next 10 to 20 years, do more things than we have in the past 2000. And that hopefulness is what's sustaining me. And I'm waiting for the capitalists to break that down on me and be like, nope, we're not doing this because we don't make money that way. But I'm hoping the message and the tools are so free and available that we're just going to bypass anybody trying to take advantage. I actually believe we're actually going to go through a superhero era where people are going to be modifying themselves and we're going to have actual superhumans and people. I wouldn't be surprised if you end up demolishing a city out there because people are fighting. I kind of like one of those things that I want, but I don't want at the same time.
I think there's definitely going to be integration. I think there's like without a doubt we're integrated now. It's just not.
There's the interface is not there yet.
Yeah, right. If anyone is on the verge of doing their own thing, let me just tell you one. Are you familiar with Claude Mythos?
Yes. Yep.
Crazy. For anyone who doesn't know, just a quick. I'm going to give you the headliners. I'm not going into the deeper, but the headliners is that it is now able to program cybersecurity and protection of a business or enterprise better than any human or organization has ever been able to protect themselves from outside attacks ever, right? Just very simple. Now, I am not in the weeds on this one. So I can't go through and say, and its score on this was blah, blah, blah. I don't know it. I know the headlines, but I have followed the headlines enough to see some of these are actually happening, right?
Yep.
What it allows it to do is then it also allows it to be able to find breakdowns in systems that exist today that people don't know are there. Major companies that are known for their great cybersecurity protection has had errors in there for 30 years, 17 years, 12 years that it finds. And so that they're actually not releasing it to the public because people could get into other people's information right now. They're actually giving it to a lot of the larger, mainly American corporations to protect themselves right now before this stuff is eventually created by multiple different entities and available. I think that if you think about that, I'm partial to this because I was let go from my job, right? I was the 28-year-old project manager, had the good job. That job isn't needed. What other jobs have a huge percentage of a workforce? IT. What other ones? Finance, accounting, HR's behavior, but these things are becoming behavior. So I have two options. I could either go ahead and say, okay, what job could I do now, right? And join one of these other departments, which I fully believe will be automated in a year and a half. Or I can double down on my passion and just try to make it work. And so if anyone's on the fence of you're doing your thing right now and you're debating on going back into the corporate world, or you have a passion that you're trying to start and you haven't started it yet, start building your raft on the side of the corporate cruise ship because you will have to jump. And hopefully you can jump and then steer it and it might sink, but then you can choose where you want to go. I just think to go invest more of your time in something that you're not passionate about for 8 hours a day and then to be so crushed that you just have to recoup and do it again the next day is the biggest scam in the world. And why would anyone sign up for that? It truly makes me so frustrated because I was really good at it too, and I hated my life, right?
Yep. Speaking to the choir. This was one of the things that I said when I left, or saying when I left, is I was a good coder. I was very good in my branch, in my department. I was a top tier coder. I was mediocre at best on the market. I knew that. If I went into a private company, there were probably thousands of people who could outcode me. And I knew that. So I knew immediately as soon as ChatGPT came out in 2023 that I was going to lose my job. Coding is going to the most advanced users who understand system development and not how to code anymore. It's how to build the entire system, not just how to build the chunks of it. So I basically set that was the mark of me changing my entire career, where I left my career, I left my hometown, moved to the middle of nowhere, started something new, and am now a year into it. Don't know what I'm doing, but I'm still doing it. And it's more fun. I'm having more excitement. I'm running 3 companies. I'm doing more things than I have ever done in my life, and I'm connecting better with people. I am not making anywhere near what I used to, but it's also something that I'm not worried about anymore, if that makes any sense. You find your passion. It's not about the money, because I know I can just take a contract there's always going to be work.
Yep.
You can always find work. It doesn't matter if AI is going to take over. There's going to be somebody who's like, hey, I just need this guy to carry this thing from here to here. Okay, I'll give you $100 for that. There's always going to be something you can do to make money if you don't find something you're passionate about, you're never going to enjoy your life. You're never going to succeed in life. You're never going to get further. You're going to be stuck in the same place because you haven't figured out who you are, and what you want. I think AI is going to go a long way in teaching people how to just be instead of do, which is coming from somebody who does a lot. Just sitting in your own mind is something I think people need to do a lot more, understanding more about themselves. We are coming up to the last little bit. I just want to give you a little bit because I want to ask, what tools can people use? That's one of the things I should probably ask before we go anywhere. What tools do you use that somebody should be using in today's day and age?
Yeah, so most of my content is in social media management, right? And how to use free tools to best grow your business, because I was trying to grow my business and I like business stuff. So tools to keep in mind, you want to schedule posts. Metricool is a great post scheduler. Plotato is a new one that I'm using. Metricool essentially allows you to centralize posts in one spot. It goes out to all these other platforms. Plotato allows you to do the same thing, but allows you to create content within it. And it can do that with large language models, image generators, uploading your own image and making a video. I shouldn't only be talking about the tools that I use up to this point and stay in that niche. I should be forward thinking and say, what's the best way to solve that problem? And people who are posting might be posting to grow their content. Other one that I'm making a lot of content right now is on Claude. I use all the Claude integrations. So I have Claude hooked up to my Gmail. Claude is like ChatGPT for people who aren't familiar, right? It has integrations to work with other platforms on your computer. So mine's hooked up to my Gmail. It's hooked up to my Square account. It's hooked up to my Google Calendar. And I put on the microphone. I talk to it. I say, schedule my day. I want to figure out these 5 things today and tell me what meetings I have on the calendar to move around those. It does it. I say, I just got an invoice from the neighbor across the street. Charge him $1,000. He's really helpful. Give him a 15% discount. It creates the invoice. Can you email that to them? It emails it. Now, granted, I use the $20 a month version. I use the free version, which you can do all these same things, but it limits you. And since this is my full-time job, those are probably Metricool, Plotato, Claude. Those are probably the big ones. And then if you're trying to do things and you're not really code savvy, but you're more the design side and you want to make it by hand, all my Canva tutorials will show you how to make your first QR code for your business, for Google reviews, how to make a digital business card. I think we should be creating things easily and free in a quick, understandable way, and that's what I make content on. I'll continue to do that forever, hopefully.
It's funny that you said if you want to design by hand, you can actually. This is one of the things that I say to people too. If you don't understand something, but you know how to you can visualize it in your head, draw it, and then put it in the LLM. It will explain everything to you.
It makes it too. I have long form YouTube videos that are horizontal like this, the thumbnail. I'll go through and say, I need a short thumbnail to post on this video, and I upload the old one, it creates it. Or I can upload the old one and say, hey, this one was on a business card. I need this one to be on a post scheduler. It makes it. And you're like, now I use ChatGPT for that because ChatGPT is connected to DALL-E, and Claude Anthropic doesn't, from my understanding, have a facial recognition software right now that's publicly released. So, dude, I feel like I'm creating content every day that used to take me a week. And now I'm trying to upkeep the rest of my business because my stuff is growing at a quicker rate than my editors grow. So now Claude even created me an editing template that helps transform what I'm expecting to them so that they can do it quicker and I can onboard more editors quicker. So there's just so much you can do, but I would probably say those 3 tools, man.
I will also add Descript because that's what I use. I want to let the audience know. Descript is an AI tool that edits your video for you. You just basically tell it what you want to edit, how to edit it, and it'll go and do those things. And for the most part, you don't need the top tier subscription. I have all of them. That's a bad idea, especially if you don't have any money. But I code, so I use my tokens. That's the big thing. The one thing I really want is somebody to be able to build an aggregate that I can use one call and it goes out to all of them and it finds the cheapest option. If anybody wants to build that, please let me know. But I will make sure everything's down in the comments below. So who are you? Where are you? Where can people find you? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is my 3rd podcast, so I love this. I love talking to people. I love talking to people that I'm interested in. My content's predominantly in three spots: YouTube, which is a corporate guy turned YouTuber, right? You hear the name, you know what it is. It's also at Joe Zeplin, Zeplin. Substack, same thing, corporate guy turned YouTuber. And then LinkedIn is Joe Zeplin, corporate guy turned YouTuber. But I got fired and I said, I'm going to use this to my advantage. Let's sell it, man. Let's show them we can do it. So that's what my three things.
I think there's going to be a lot more of it and in the future. And I hope people enjoy it. Honestly, throwing yourself out on the internet was something that was so scary and so foreign to me. As you start doing it, you start to realize how much fun it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. To anybody out there, if you need any information or want to follow up, please comment or message me. I throw everything out there. Please message me. I would love to talk to people. As I said, I only have vanity metrics, no actual proper metrics. Yeah, to everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed this and stay weird.